Hello. All right. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. So I just want to do a quick introduction. My name is Krim. This is my first time streaming, so I assume I'm not going to be, the perfect one. I still got to find my voice. Still have to get used to streaming and basically, constantly talking. But this is the simple idea. I'm going to play a game for you live on stream. I'm going to record the footage for myself. I'm going to chop that up and I'm going to post it as a review on YouTube. Now, I will admit that for future games, I will be doing this for as a first time play. So I'll have no knowledge of the game, but there are a lot of games that I've already played, enjoyed quite a bit, and are essentially indie games that I would like to have essentially a catalog of these games since I wasn't reviewing the very day they first came out. So let's begin. Let's see. Approaching this from a review point of view, I do appreciate that there is a multiplayer aspect. We will not be going to multiplayer in depth, though I will say across the Obelisk multiplayer is quite enjoyable. A tome of knowledge here that we can see all the information, all the cards, and all the items in the game. A glossary that goes into detail of essentially every potential effect and keyword. So very useful information to have. And we see here that we do have a records list and a list of previous games, as well as a high score list, a scoreboard. So there is a competitive element and a personal achievement element. I also like to see that these scores over here are within reason. They're not insanely high, which means that it's likely that they are moderated against hackers. We don't see any scores in the hundreds of billions and such. Uh, Very interesting to know that there are three different types of mode, as well as the weekly challenge. I'm sure provides essentially endless gameplay opportunities. But for now, we will just approach it from the standard adventure mode. I love seeing that there are multiple slots for save files since there's quite a few roguelikes that don't actually offer this. You have to play a single file and continue it until you're done. So if you have multiple people that would potentially play on this device, it can cause issues. So seeing multiple save slots is a convenience feature that does not take away from the roguelite experience. Having a large cast of characters is awesome. Most roguelites only feature a fairly small number, between 3 to 5 or so. So having 16 characters, 4 by 6, is fantastic. This one is also unique in that it is one of the few roguelikes that features multiple character slots. I'm not sure if this is the first roguelike to have implemented this, but it's probably my favorite one that does. Now, I did say I want to do this from the new player experience. So let me go ahead and put the 4 starting heroes. If this was the very first time I opened the game, only these 4 heroes would be unlocked, and all these other heroes would essentially be question marks, as well as they would feature their default skins, which is what I'm going to revert all these characters to. There we go. He actually loses his hair in the default skin, which is happens to everybody. The other interesting feature in this game is the perk system, where you get it essentially to strengthen your characters between having additional gold, additional crystals, additional money, additional energy, damage, make your status effects more powerful, and a whole host of different effects. If I was a new player, I would probably be a little bit overwhelmed at first from seeing such a system, but I do have a good idea of what essentially each thing does and the combos that are necessary essentially to make your characters quite strong. Since this, I'm going to try to treat this as best I can to a new player experience. I'm going to go ahead and reset my perks and not spend any. Well, everybody back to zero. Reginald, Andrin. Did I say that? I did not. Evelyn, perks, Reginald, and Magnus. Before we actually equip these, it's actually kind of nice that they show the recommended positions for each character. Basically, the closer to the front you are, the more likely you are to take damage. So we want it nice and tanky to be all the way in the front. And generally, your squishier character should be towards the back. We can see here that Magnus has 100 health, which is 20 more than Andrin, who has 80, and 17 more than Evelyn, who has 63. Reginald has a little bit more than Evelyn, but he is the healer, so I'd rather Evelyn the mage die over Reginald the healer. I'm also going to reduce the madness back to 0 because madness is a feature that unlocks essentially after you beat the game once. I'm going to actually let this intro video play out. Now, there is no voice acting in this game, but there should be music playing. However, I have muted all music, so I apologize for that. Announcing a reward for whoever brings the princess home safely. News spread quickly throughout the kingdom. Many groups of adventurers prepare to investigate the obelisk. This is the story of one of those groups. I apologize, I didn't think about doing voice acting until it was far too late. Very interesting node system. A lot of node systems for many other roguelikes tend to not have a very pretty map. It tends to be just kind of like a essentially basic lines on a large, flat, simple map or grid. This has an actual fairly elegant path system, and it looks like an as best it can. It does look like a real world location, and I mean that not that it looks bad. I just mean that it looks a little artificial. I don't think these roads would necessarily be this style direction. For example, this farm over here, like it clearly would have a connection to this road up here, right? Maybe not. All right. So we're starting back here. First place we got to go is the city. We have 300 gold to spend and 300 crystals to spend. Now I know for a fact that gold is spent on equipment, while crystals are spent on cards. There are a lot of different ways you can approach to upgrading your characters, but we are going to assume that we have no idea what are the good cards, what are the bad cards, what do I need, what I don't need. So I'm not going to make any changes to these starter decks. We're just gonna see how it plays. Besides, with 300 crystals, as you can see here, this single card costs almost 300 crystals. There are cheaper cards, for example, Aim Shot over here, a nice basic attack is only 40 crystals. So it's not as difficult to upgrade your characters. However, I'm just going to buy a single card. This Barricade for Magnus. You can see here that this currency is actually shared between the 4 heroes. So this is not 300 for Magnus, 300 for Andrin. It is 75 for each character. which is enough for a single card each. Or, of course, someone can skip their card and someone else can get a slightly more expensive card. Or, as we said in the beginning, one person can buy a single expensive card for 300. But like I said, I'm going to leave the decks basic, no changes made. So I'm going to approach the next place, the church, and in the church we can actually remove cards from our deck. So we can really go to brass tacks to customize it, not to mention removing cards can let you have a very slim, very optimized deck. But the only card I'm going to remove is the barricade that I added earlier. So we can continue with the absolutely basic deck. The altar allows us to upgrade our cards in various different ways. Generally, there is two options for upgrades: the blue upgrade and the yellow upgrade. In the case of Flash, the blue one makes it draw a card after and then deals the 7 damage as normal, while the other one reduces the damage slightly, but it also reduces the cost to 0. From playing this game quite heavily, I haven't noticed something consistent about uh, the blue and yellow upgrade. For example, with heal, it's similar to Flash, where the yellow one reduces the cost, but with Holy Smite, the yellow one increases the cost. You could say that maybe the yellow ones tend to be the one that alter the cost, but I'm sure if you were to look through every single card in the game, you may find examples in which this isn't true. So, and I haven't done that, so who knows? Up here, there are town upgrades. Now, I'm not going to be able to remove this without basically deleting my save files. I don't feel like doing that. But basically, these upgrades offer a large variety of progression. So the more you play, the more you get these crates, the more, and with these crates, you can use them to buy a whole host of different effects. Now, these effects tend to be progressive. So looking at the altar, the cost of transforming cards is reduced by 25%. And then the level 3 version, the cost of transforming is reduced by 50%. So it just makes it more and more powerful. Some of these offer new abilities. For example, advanced divinations unlocked in the starting town. That's you're not able to have that unless you literally have this, or this one unlocks the pet shop in the armory. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. The divination thing, this is it right here. You basically pay a amount of gold, goes fairly high, and you essentially get a ability to select a card. So let's go ahead and do a fast divination so we can take a look at that. So each of these characters will have a card to select. If you're playing multiplayer, each player would control their individual characters, and each player would, select their individual cards. Now, I did say I was going to choose the starting decks for each character, but I'm going to go ahead and keep the cards, whatever card I select here for each individual character, since it's random. So I didn't select these cards to be optimal. These are just what were given to me. For Magnus, let's see here. These cards are very expensive and heavy. I'm just going to go with Blade Storm. For it deals good damage 2 times, so this is going to deal 24 damage for 3 mana. Average on how good it is. Let's see, for Andrin, that's his name. I'm gonna go ahead and choose the Song of Celerity. It gives 1 fast to all heroes. Fast increases their speed, so they'll take their turn sooner. Going first is always nice. For Evelyn, I'm going to choose Curse of Exhaustion. It deals a little bit of damage, as well as applies 1 slow. Just it literally opposite of fast. It slows down the enemy. And for Reginald, I'll take Holy Storm. Does a little bit of damage, and it applies to Sanctify. I know for a fact that Sanctifies, what it does is creates a debuff from the opponent. And when someone hits that debuffed opponent, they'll actually heal a very small amount. So in this case, they'll heal for 1. Or in this case, yeah, they'll heal for 1. And the last option here, the armory, is the shop where you can buy a whole host of different equipment. Each character can equip a weapon, armor, accessory, potion, as well as a pet. Now, if we didn't do the divination, we could have bought something for somebody, but gold, just like your crystals, is shared between your four characters. Here, from having the upgrade global pet shot unlocked, we can actually go and get ourselves pets as well. Now, these pets are actually locked. You have to complete an in-game quest to unlock them. And each of these characters are quite unique. I'm not going to tell you how to unlock them, but if you were to go to this page, you would actually be able to see directly which pets exist. And hopefully, with the knowledge of knowing where how they look like and what are they called, that you may get a slight idea of where they might be. I think we're ready. Normally, you may spend a lot more time in this screen than most of your other screens, but for now, let's begin. So, as with any roguelike, you always have a large collection of options. You can also see here some characters that were in the previous starting screen, and this is in fact how you start their quests to unlock them. Since I've already unlocked them all, I really don't need to go to any individual characters. And this is a bit of a spoiler, but not every character is actually unlocked. Hold on, let me say that differently. The starts of every character's quest does not necessarily start at their face. Sometimes you actually have to do something before you go to them to unlock them. So that's a tiny bit of a spoiler, but it basically means that going to these special locations may actually result in not only their cool personal events, but additional events down the road. Uh, the other thing to notice here is this location here. Whenever you see this map icon, it means that this location takes you to a secondary location before returning you to the main map. So it's kind of like a side quest area, which I think is very interesting. So we're just going to follow the shiny, go to the purple location. Whenever we click the place, we can see the monsters we're about to fight, as well as fighting them. So, as usual, to many similar roguelikes, we have about 3 energy we get per turn. Something that is different, though, is that in this game, you can actually store your energy for the next turn. So, up to the maximum of 10. So, we can see here, Andrew has 4 energy. If any energy he chooses not to spend will be rolled over to the next round, as well as this shows how much energy he's going to gain at the end of his turn. So, in this case, he's going to gain 3 energy. For example, I can use this card to journal line, costs nothing, and it says suffer 1 fatigue, which means that next round I'll have 1 less energy, but I'll have 2 energy this round. So, pay 1 to get 2. That sounds like a good deal to me. Not to mention is pay 1 tomorrow, so we don't even have to worry about it today. And as long as if we can kill all these enemies before tomorrow comes, even better. So let's go ahead and make everybody fast. And let's just start, just playing all our cards, doing some damage. Did what is this? 30 damage? Not bad. Also got some bleeding going. Bleeding, just like in most other roguelikes, it causes the opponent to lose some speed at the start of their turn. Sorry, some health at the start of their turn. We're gonna put some defenses up. So something interesting about this game. In a lot of roguelikes, it's very common for you to know exactly what the opponent is doing. In this game, it's something similar, but not 100%. Now, you can see here that we do know that each opponent is about to play a card, but we don't know what those cards are. For us to be able to know what those cards are, we actually need to use an in-game effect called Sight. Go over here to the glossary, click Sight. Reveals one card per charge, then removes a single charge. Block, just like any other game, it works where it prevents the damage, and at the end of the turn, it is removed. Since I don't know what they are playing, I'm pretty much using these cards blind. But since I can afford to play all my cards, I'm going to do that. If I get, enough defenses on everybody, hopefully that will suffice. So far it has. Not to mention this is the first fight of the game. If I was dying here, that would be quite embarrassing. Just like how Andrew had something that removes his energy for next turn, Evelyn has something that gives her energy for next turn. So wizards are a big fan of having high amounts of energy. Evelyn also has the ability to basically give her energy to somebody else. So pay 2 energy, give somebody else 2 energy, and lets them draw a card. A very useful card. And I think I will actually do that on Reginald the healer. Give him a little bit extra oomph for next round. This guy has 10 health left. These cards do 3 damage each. Simple math says that if I knock him down to bleeding range, he will just disappear. Good job, Evelyn. Or good job, everyone. That was a team effort. Right. Oh, excellent. Here's a sight card. They have no cards to play. That's a little annoying, but let's go ahead and give them both some sight. So we will be able to see what cards they play next round. Reginald, despite being a healer, is going to go ahead and blast him for some damage. Using that card we picked up in the random. Heal himself for 1. Big healer here. Not that anyone is actually hurt because of Magnus's defense card. Oh, yep. I only had 2 energies to spend because I spent it all last round. So Expert Tracker grants one hero the ability to draw an extra card, as well as it can look at 7 of those cards and discard any of them. Magnus is going up next, so let's go ahead and have him go first. I think we have enough damage and they have low enough health that Magnus may be able to kill them all before they get around. Magnus is going to enrage. He's going to go ahead and use the card. Actually, this card is actually weaker than him just playing Fast Strike over and over again. So he's just going to Fast Strike a lot. 18, so it's not going to be enough to kill this guy. Let's actually use this first since this costs 0 and it reduces their defense by 15%. Should have done that first, but hindsight is what it is. This guy's gonna survive with 1 health. That's so disappointing. Maybe we do this. Nope, he's still surviving. With even more health than 1, because that 2 health because I miscounted. But that's okay. It gives Reginald something to heal. Evelyn, can you please finish them off? I could just pass here, let Reginald have a turn, let him get a tiny bit of healing done. But this is so little damage that after each completed battle, we get to select a card tied to our decks, or we can just choose to take shards instead. And there is a chance that these cards can be upgraded. So, for example, this Frostbolt is already upgraded to be the yellow version. This could save a lot of crystals if we get something real lucky. And there is a feature called the corrupted version. It basically amplifies the card to 11. It essentially gives you the same effect of having both the blue upgrade and the yellow upgrade. Huge power increase. So we are going to go ahead and take this heavy strike. For Andrew, we're going to take Rupture. Bit of the upgraded Frostbolt for Evelyn. Just crystals for Reginald. Let's see here. Morning at the lake. Following the carriage trail, you arrive at Lake Senethia. Usually, this lake is always crowded with locals who fish, trade, or perform daily activities, but today it seems that no one is around. So it is not often that you can explore the lake thoroughly without being disturbed. You can also fish or search for magical shards. This morning, the lake is all yours. have quite a bit of options here of how to approach this event. We can just, leave. Don't even care. We can explore to find something unusual. And we can do these chance events. So if we were to fish, we would need to get a result of 5 or lower. If we mouse over here, it tells us the probability of success. So this is not guaranteed. And if we fail, we could potentially get a negative effect. But these effects tend to also be slightly stronger than the non-random effects. So are you a gambler? Are you looking for excitement? Let's see here. We could take our time to try and fish, or we can look for magical shards. You know what? Let's fish. Let's see what we get. On low numbers. Oh, that card we selected in the beginning screwed us. Blade Storm, why do you gotta do this to us? We fail. We spend a while trying to fish, but with no luck. So you leave. You know what this is? Actually, how my fishing experience in real life is like. I'll cast out that rod, wait for so very long, literally nothing would happen. Right then, so we have some options here, but we're just gonna go towards the rarest options. In this case, it's going to be this green book. Let's see here, we have the option of fighting an obelisk corruption event. The obelisk inference is corrupting the monsters in this area. You can choose to fight them under the effects of corruption to increase the difficulty and gain additional rewards. So all monsters will gain +2 damage. They will be immune to bleeding, which is a decent amount of hard damage. And when a hero plays an attack card, all monsters will gain 3 Fury, increasing the amount of damage they deal by essentially 3% per charge or 9% total. The game feels like this would make this fight quite hard. If we accept the challenge, our final score will be increased by 130, and we will immediately gain either 720 gold crystals and a supply box, or we will be able to remove 2 cards for free from our deck. I think I will take the challenge. This will be a little bit more difficult, but we are early on. This is just the second fight of the game. And, if we die here, then we die. All right. See, so this card here, Rupture, 2 bleeding. It's going to lose a bit of its effect. Hunter's Mark applies a mark. The mark increases how much damage the target takes. Since most of these are front attacks, go ahead and mark the front boy. Immune to bleeding, very sad. Adrenaline, just pump himself up to get this one big churn at the beginning. But yes, and I'm playing attack cards, so the enemies are getting all amped up as well. A little bit scary, but if we can thin out their numbers, we might be okay. Since they now have a 36% damage increase, let's just focus on a little bit more on defense than I might normally do. Not only that, but they also have a +2 flat damage, so a little scary. Evelyn getting hit hard, down to less than half health. She is going to give her mana to Reginald, make sure that he draws a heal. And now we have to be very clear. This effect says when the hero plays an attack card, these are not attack cards, these are spells. So Evelyn is able to basically deal damage with impunity. She's going to go ahead and focus fire this guy over here. He was taking slightly bit more damage than the other guys. Simple as that. We'll play these on the ones that are not going to die first. Reginald is, for some reason, going to deal a lot of damage. We're going to put a barrier. And this turn, we healed Evelyn for 0. Thanks, Reginald. Best healer we know. Now, even though this is going to increase the damage that we're going to take back, I feel like we still need to push damage. These guys do need to die. Even if we're going to take a little bit more damage, it's still going to be worth it. All right, that's one more down. Down to lethal enemy. There is no way he's going to be able to kill this guy. So let's try to get our defenses up. Get your defenses up as well. Uh, Normally, I would probably just like can't even kill this guy because he is too tanky. Richard holds a whole bunch of damage again. Let's focus on healing Evelyn as much as we can. Reginald is going to smite the enemies. Get a little bit of healing ring here. Healed Evelyn for like 9. Would have appreciated if it was more. Let's go ahead and end this battle. We got a whole bunch of golden crystals. Selection of some new cards. Now, personally, most of the time, I actually end up just choosing the shards. So let's go ahead and choose the shards for most of these characters. Curse of Agony is actually pretty good. We get a 4 poison and 4 bleeding, as well as a dark charge. But the way dark works is that you need to have a lot of darkness for them to actually do anything. So a single dark charge literally does nothing. Wolf in distress. You arrive at camp near the river. Here you see a werewolf that was taking a nap, surrounded by a few pigmen with torches and brands on their arms. The pigman begins to intimidate the poor werewolf and burn him with torches as he tries to escape. For the moment, none of them have noticed you are there. Will you help the werewolf? Sneak away, just it's not my problem. I'm just gonna leave. That has a 92% chance of success. I can confront the pigman to help the werewolf, or I can howl fiercely to scare the pigman. Let's see here. This is only a 12% chance of success. This is 92, but I think I do want to help the werewolf. Let's go ahead and do some combat. You approach the pigman with your weapons drawn and stand between them and the werewolf. The werewolf sees an opportunity to leave, but before that he tells you that his name is Raoul and that his brother runs a stall in the forest. If you happen to meet him, your actions today will not be forgotten. When the werewolf leaves, the pigmen attack you. Right. Let's just go ahead and try to kill these burnt up piggies. It feels like someone was trying to make bacon before. Let's say they were ready, because I don't want to go into detail, but I'm sure you guys understand. Remember, if you're making bacon, make sure the animal is ready. Oh, instantly took out all the defense I had prepared for him and chunked him for another 20 health. These guys do a decent amount of damage. Now, something I want to cover here on the top left of the screen here, we can actually see the enemy's name as well as the various defenses that they have. So this pigman here, being a essentially already burnt up, has developed a 40% resistance to fire, but a negative 16% resistance to cold. So our cold attack here, despite only supposed to do 14 damage, is actually hitting them for 16, which is very nice. Blast them with all our attacks. Give defense to our frontliner. Once again, we draw Holy Storm. I swear we've drawn this card like every single time. But I actually don't think we're going to play it. Even though it does do excellent amounts of damage, we're going to focus on getting our people healed up a little bit. Flash these guys twice. Oftentimes spending 2 manas playing 2 cards will result in slightly higher damage than a single card. Andrew right now, Andrew is very fast. Generally goes first. Lights this boy up. Always use your 0 card debuff cards first. One person standing. ahead and intercept here. Is my audio working okay? It is showing that the Yeti is capturing it. Being told that can you guys hear me? I've been talking for this long. You guys can't. That's going to be very disappointing. Oh no. Let's see here. I need to fix this. It's an issue with Twitch settings. The only thing is, I did test all of this beforehand. It was working fine earlier. I had to basically make a small change to OBS to be able to capture the game, but I did not expect that to cause any difficulties. So, oh my gosh, give me a moment here. I need to pause the stream and basically, essentially remake all of this. That's a bit of disappointment. I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream here.